Good morning, Foley United Methodist Church. We are so glad that you decided to join us this morning for worship. My name is Chris Kelly. I'm the Director of Worship here at Foley United Methodist Church, and we are so glad that you decided to join us today. We would like for you, if you don't mind, to please start a watch party or comment on Facebook and let folks know that this service is going on. Whenever you watch this service, whether it be with us live right now or throughout the week, we're just glad that you decided to join us for worship. And so today we're going to start our worship service off with One Thing Remains, Your Love. We're thankful for the love of God, and we want you to know that Foley United Methodist Church loves you.
Higher than the mountains that I face, stronger in the power of the grave, constant in the trial and the change. One thing remains. One thing. One thing remains. Here we go. Your love. When all of a sudden I am unaware
sing that again. Here we go.
We are His portion and He is our prize, drawn to redemption by the grace in His eyes. If grace is an ocean, we're all sinking. So heaven meets earth like an unforeseen kiss, and my heart turns violently inside my.
Here we go.
And I don't have time to maintain these regrets when I realize the way He loves us. Oh, how He loves us. Oh, how He loves us. How He loves us. Oh, He loves us. Oh, how He loves us. Oh, how He loves us. How He loves us.
As we finish our last song for the day in the book of Joshua, chapter 6, verses 1 through 27, this is the first battle fought by the Israelites to take over the land of Canaan. And what they did was they marched every day and blew their trumpet every day around the walls of Jericho. And finally, the walls came tumbling down. We don't know where you are in your life and the things that you're going through, but we do know that there are Jerichos in our life. And we just want to encourage you to continue to be faithful, to continue to walk and pray, and even if you have to, blow your own trumpet, because eventually God's going to move, and the walls of whatever that situation is, those walls are going to come tumbling down. And we do want to ask you to continue to be mindful of our pastor, Pastor Nolan, and his wife, Susanna, as their Jericho right now is breast cancer. And so we encourage you to remember them in prayer and everyone else that has things going on. But as you walk around the walls, know that God is faithful, that God is able, and that God is there in that situation. Release your Jericho.
Walking around these walls, I thought by now they'd fall, but you have never failed me yet. And waiting for change to come, knowing the battle's won, for you have never failed me yet. Will you sing this chorus? Your promise still stands. Here we go. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness. Your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never fail me yet. I know that the night won't last. Your word will come to pass. My heart will sing your praise again. Jesus, you're still enough, and keep me within your love. My heart will sing your praise again. Here we go, your promise, sing it loud. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, faithfulness.
that you have never failed us. Your word tells us that you will never leave us nor forsake us, that you keep us in the palm of your hand. We are so thankful, God, that you walk with us each and every day, and that those things that we face in life, Father, you are there. And so, Lord, now touch those that have watched this, those that will be listening to this later, just for us to know that those walls of Jericho can come tumbling down. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I have climbed the highest mountains. I have run through the fields only to be with you. Only to be with you. And I have run and I have crawled. I have scaled these city walls only to be with you. Only to be with you.
Good morning. My name is John Simonson. I'm the associate pastor here at Foley United Methodist Church. I'm so glad that you could join us. This is a special edition. Obviously, you can see we're not doing it live. There was some scheduling conflicts on all ends, but we're so glad that you joined us today. And today we're talking about how God is using us to plug into the food area of the emerging needs. We feel like God has really highlighted this over the last 2 years, and he feels like we feel like that this is where God is inviting us to plug into where he's already at work. And so I have an amazing guest with us, Miss Dana Jepson, who is the South Baldwin Director of Ecumenical Ministries, if I said that right. And she does a lot with real needs and a lot with food ministries. And I'm so glad to have you here with us, Miss Dana.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it.
Yep. What I would love to start with is I would love for you just to kind of introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit about what you do at Ecumenical Ministries and what Ecumenical Ministries is.
Yes, Ecumenical Ministries. We always laugh because we put that long word in our name, which is really hard to say. But it really describes us well, because we are a place where many churches and many denominations kind of come together and support our ministry, which is fantastic. We've been in Baldwin County for a little over 50 years. Some of you may have remembered last year, all we talked about was our 50th anniversary, and this year seems a little bit different, but we have several programs. Our emergency aid program is probably the one that we are known best for, where we assist individuals in some sort of a crisis with meeting their kind of immediate needs of rent, utilities, mortgage, things like that. We also have a prescription assistance and medical program where we're able to provide funding for medical procedures and medications for uninsured and underinsured individuals. We operate the Meals on Wheels program in Foley and in Fairhope, which is very exciting for us. We deliver hot meals at lunch Monday through Friday, which really seems to bless a whole lot of people. We have a home repair program which covers all of Baldwin County. We call it Repair Baldwin. I know that your men's group has been involved in that before. We do a lot of wheelchair ramps and making houses safe, sanitary, and secure. That has also become quite a big project where we're putting a lot of roofs on houses also. We discovered that fixing the inside of a house doesn't do you a whole lot of good if it's raining inside. Right. So we end up doing a lot of roofs. We also, what's coming up right now, what we're really excited about is our Christmas sharing program. So we are able to connect our community with families in need to help provide Christmas gifts to children who may not otherwise have anything on Christmas morning. So that's a really heartwarming piece of what we do. And then we also we operate 2 food pantries. We are supported by the community. We're very, very blessed that we have churches, businesses, individuals who have found it in their hearts to support us with that food. And last year, we had over 32,000 pounds of food donated to our food pantry, just in Foley. And I don't have numbers for our Fairhope location, but that was that is a huge blessing because we are able to meet the needs of individuals who don't have the money to buy groceries. And you can imagine, if you don't have the money to buy groceries, you don't have the money to do a whole lot of things.
Right.
And so we're able to sit down with these individuals and talk process and figure out kind of how did you get into this situation, and how can we come alongside you to get you out of it? How can we walk with you towards stability? That is, Don, a really, really quick version of Ecumenical's umbrella of programs.
It sounds like a really big umbrella. One of the things I love is that it fits in exactly where we feel God is kind of leading us towards, because you talked a lot about real needs with the roof ministry, the home repair ministry, the emergency needs fund, and then the food fund, which is the second area where we feel like God is kind of revealing to us where his emerging future for us at Foley United Methodist Church is. One of the things you mentioned, if I heard you correctly, you have 2 food pantries, and one is in Foley and one is in Fairhope?
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And just at the Foley food pantry, y'all received 30,000, did you say, pounds of food?
Yes, just over 32,000 pounds of food in a year.
That's incredible. That's great. So one of the things I'd love to just kind of hear your thoughts on is, so all throughout the Gospels, Jesus interacts with people over food. I mean, he has dinner with sinners. He has dinner with Pharisees. He feeds 5,000 people. One of my favorite scenes in the entire Bible is where he's cooking breakfast for the disciples after they're on the boat fishing. I love that scene. What is it that you see in the area of food, besides need? What is it that really speaks to you when you're helping people at the food pantry, or however else you might be helping somebody surrounding food?
Well, food is a really good door opener in a lot of ways. We meet people who think that all they're going to do is come by and pick up a bag of food. And we're able to reach out to them and touch them where they are, sit down with them and have a conversation, and really learn a lot about that individual and their family and their story. And in that conversation, we're able to maybe reach into other parts of their lives and say, hey, did you know about this resource? Did you know that there are other people in the community who could come alongside you and serve you in this way?
Right.
And we get to build a little bit of a relationship. And it may not be a long relationship. It may be that one visit to our food pantry is all that family needs to get on their feet, and we may never see them again.
Right.
But that's not the case for some of our people who come to visit us. They develop kind of a longer term relationship with us. And a lot of that is with our older population in our community. If you're familiar with what is now called SNAP and used to be called food stamps, the elderly SNAP allotment is very, very low. For someone who's worked and is now receiving Social Security and paid off their house, so they don't have a lot of housing expenses. Many people that we see only get $16 a month in benefits. Wow. And we know that doesn't go very far. So we're able to, in addition to those 32,000 pounds of food donated, that's to our regular food pantry, we also have what we call an ongoing needs list. A lot of people would, it used to be called our gleaning program. Years ago, we had farmers who would call us, and we had volunteers who would go out into the fields and pick the vegetables that were left behind after the tractors had gone by and the pretty vegetables were taken.
Right.
We were able to go in and take the not so pretty vegetables, which is a really cool metaphor. But but it looks a little bit different now. We don't quite have the manpower or as many local farmers as we used to, but we do still have farmers and home gardeners who share produce or surplus whatever with us. Sometimes it's a truck full of green beans got derailed or had a flat tire and couldn't make it to its destination on time, so they had to stop in Foley. That actually happened. It was quite the scene when the 18-wheeler pulled up in front of our office. But those are the people, the individuals that we know are living on a shoestring and don't have a whole lot of outside assistance, and we know that they'll make good use of it. And so we are able to reach out and say, hey, we've got X.
Right.
Can you come get it? And this summer has been a really cool example of that. Gulf Coast Produce, actually, I think you guys benefited from the milk program there at your church. We benefited from boxes of fresh produce, which was a huge blessing, and not just from Ecumenical Ministries to individual, but I got to meet some really cool people that I knew, but got to know them a whole lot better, because not only were they showing up to pick up a box for themselves, but they were concerned about their neighbor who couldn't drive, or the mom down the street who's got 4 kids and it's hard for her to load them up in the car, or whatever. So I got to help people help their neighbors. So I had some tiny little women showing up in their cars who really shouldn't have been lifting those boxes, but they would show up and say, okay, here's my neighbors that I need to pick up for, and they would be able to go out and bless those people. And so it was a really cool way, because they didn't have the resources to do it themselves, but we were able to provide that so that they could reach out and help others. Who may have been embarrassed to come to a food pantry or may not have had the means, but it was a really cool experience.
You said a whole lot right there.
And it sorry.
No, that's great. That's awesome. I really appreciate it. I can't share enough with everyone how much I appreciate you. After the hurricane, I got to see you take over a role to help with the VOAD, or volunteers, part of recovery after hurricane, and you just do a lot, and I really appreciate you. I just want to take a second to unpack some of that stuff you said, because there's some really neat stuff in there. Starting with the gleaning, you used to call it the gleaning project, and you would go into a field after the machines had gone through and picked out all the good stuff. You would pick out some of the leftover product. Man, that's an incredible image that comes straight from the Bible, because that's what Jesus taught people to do, was not to pick it clean, but to leave some for those in need and those from out of town. And then one of the other things you said that just stuck to me was that you partner with other people. And like you mentioned, we were able to get involved in the milk drive, and we were sending people up to Ecumenical Ministries when they were asking for other stuff. And I know y'all were sending people down to us when they were asking for milk. So it really worked out really neat. And then I think the most important thing I heard you say that I really the image just really sticks with me, and I think it's an incredible image. It's through the products that you were able to get, through the groceries and the produce that you were able to get, you were able to help other people that had neighbors or friends that couldn't make it up there, or what I think is important to point out, that people are embarrassed that they're in need and that they need help. So they don't want to admit that publicly, which is completely understandable, but it shows us that we need to be aware and sensitive to those that might be in that position, because it's not easy to say I need help. It's not easy.
It's very vulnerable.
Right. And that just fits so much into how food works, and it creates that vulnerable space to say, I can have this intimate relationship with you. And I forgot where I was going because I got derailed by that, because that popped into my head. But you were able to help people bless other people, which is just amazing, because how many people don't get the opportunity to bless others because they're in a position where they need help too. And speaking of blessings, I would love to hear, I'm going to get a little personal on you. I would love to hear, how does this impact you? I know it's a job. I know it's a job. I get that part. But there's got to be part of the job that really just impacts you personally, because you get to serve and you get to help people in need, and you get to meet these people over a table, basically. And I would love to hear how that impacts you personally.
Yes, and if you had asked me all the way through high school and college what I wanted to be when I grew up, I never really had an answer. But I also didn't know that a job like this existed. So it was a really, really cool blessing that I ended up at Ecumenical Ministries. They were looking for someone who spoke Spanish, and I had a fresh Spanish degree and not a whole lot of other plans. And it worked out really well. I started part-time as a case manager, mostly for Spanish-speaking individuals. And I have really loved it and have hung around for the last 10 years, or almost 10 years, but it has been a journey for sure. It has been kind of a hard learning process at first when you see so much need and so much hurt and so much of the world that I had never been exposed to. It was hard not to let that piece of it consume me. So I had to learn to see the blessing in it, to see the impact that we're able to make in people's lives. And not just, it's not just throwing money or food at a problem, but it truly is coming alongside somebody and walking with them and helping them see the full picture and see that there is hope, and giving them, sometimes we may be the only person that smiles at somebody that day. And especially through our Meals on Wheels program. Our volunteer drivers are amazing. They may be the only people that our Meals on Wheels recipients see every day. And so that piece of it, hanging on to the impact that we're able to have through the blessings that the community shares with us. Because if it weren't for churches, individuals, businesses supporting our ministry, we wouldn't be able to do the work that we do.
Right. Yeah, and I just love that there are people out there that may be in situations where they find themselves where they need help. And it's typical for our society to say, those that are lesser, you need to stay in the dark and stay out of view. And then, like you said, the people on Meals and Wheels, or the people that come by the store there, y'all might be the only people they see or interact with. And it happens over that passing off of a meal for Meals on Wheel, or it happens over y'all coming by the store and y'all interacting with them there, and you get that opportunity to just be a blessing to them. That's pretty powerful, and I love how you don't grow up saying, oh, this can be a job for me. You grow up saying, oh, I'm going to go do something big and amazing and powerful, what you're doing right now, but that's not an image that you put in your head. And what strikes me there is that what is God trying to do that's really important and really big and really powerful, that he's inviting us to join with him, that he's already at work with at places like Ecumenical Ministry, or like last week when we talked to Beth Biggs at Family Promise. God's already doing things, and he's inviting his people to meet him where he's at work. And I don't think we always realize how big and powerful that can be, because we have our own expectations. Mm-hmm. That's really neat. Well, what you said is amazing, and I would love to know, love to give you an opportunity to kind of share with everyone. If somebody is watching this and they say, man, that sounds really neat, I'd like to get involved in that. I'd like to help with that. I'd like to donate to that. I'd like to be a driver for Meals on Wheels, or I'd like to to give to the food pantry, how do they do that?
There are a lot of ways. One of the really cool things about being a nonprofit is we think outside the box very well. So really an easy thing to do is anytime you're at the grocery store and picking up things for your own household, think about households that don't have that luxury and pick up a few extra things. And if your church as a group wants to say, hey, we're going to collect 1 month out of the year, or we're going to put a box out in front on, Sunday mornings, and if people just want to drop their weekly extra stuff off, and then have somebody bring it by. Or we're very close to your church. It's amazing how many people I talk to that don't know where we're located, because we've been there for about 20 years now. We're just north of the hospital. We're on Spruce Avenue, which is just 2 blocks north of South Baldwin Hospital, right around the corner from your church. You can come visit us. Right now it's a little different because of the coronavirus. We have had the door locked because we're not there with other people, which has been an adventure, trying to separate ourselves. Since we're a paid staff of 2, we're alternating our time in the office and operating on a very, very skeleton volunteer crew who come in one at a time to help us sort things, put them away in the food pantry, and then pack bags. We're still there handing out food, actually more often than we were before, but we are there for the people who need us. We're doing it at a safe distance. So actual food stuff is a great way to donate. We also, if individuals want to donate financially, you can do that either on our website at baldwinemi.org, or you can mail us a check, or you can drop it in the little drop box outside our door at our office.
Okay. Do y'all have a social media presence?
We are on Facebook, facebook.com/BaldwinEMI. You can find us there, follow us. Occasionally we'll post a picture of an empty shelf and say, hey, we need jelly, or whatever the empty shelf is that week. So you can find out about some of our needs there. We hope before too long to be back up and running with our full volunteer staff. So if, and however many months it takes, individuals want to come help us with the intake process, our interviews where we sit down with the individuals in need, those are done primarily by volunteers. So if you want to get involved and have an up close and personal piece of it, then that's somewhere that somebody could get involved. And our website has volunteer forms. If you're interested in volunteering, baldwinemi.org, you can follow those links to our volunteer forms. One area where we're truly in need right now, and you mentioned it, John, is Meals on Wheels drivers. We would love to have more, and many of your church members do already drive for Meals on Wheels, so we're very, very grateful for that. But if somebody is interested in delivering Meals on Wheels, it could be a once a month commitment, or a once a week commitment, or more often if they want to. We drive in pairs, so we have a driver and a runner. So if you come with your own pair, that's great. If not, we'll try to match you up with somebody. But it's the meals are actually prepared at South Baldwin Hospital. Okay. And they're picked up there and delivered. We deliver about 70 meals every day. So that's kind of the process there. And that's not all one driver doing all 70 meals. We have 2 different routes. So it takes between an hour and a half to 2 hours to make those deliveries. But
I know my 2 boys.
Also,
I know my 2 boys have gone with my in-laws. My in-laws have helped deliver meals, and I know my boys have gone on several of those trips before.
That's a fun experience. We up until March, our staff was delivering once a month, and thankfully, when things got a little hectic for me, I had some volunteers who stepped in and took over our slot. But Wendy Heckman is our Meals on Wheels coordinator, and she is a fantastic blessing. Everything running smoothly.
Well, I got one more question I want to ask you, and then again, I can't thank you for your time. Thank you enough for your time. But the last question I want to ask you is, if you were speaking to unchurched people, because that's what we try to aim for with this service, and you were speaking to somebody who finds themselves in that position where they could use help, but like we talked about, help is not easy to ask for. If this was your opportunity to say something to them, what would you say to them? Not to put you on the spot or anything.
That's okay. I talk to people all the time who say, I'm so sorry that I have to call, or I'm embarrassed to call, or this is hard. And I know that it's hard. It has got to be really scary to reach out to a stranger and say, for whatever reason, I can't do this on my own. But what I would say is, this is what we're here for. This is what we do, and we are here to help. We try in everything that we do to take down the barriers to receiving assistance. We try to make the process as easy and pain-free as possible. It has even gotten a little bit easier now that all you have to do is fill out a form online, so you don't actually have to show up on my doorstep and say, I need help, to a person. You can say it to a computer, which for some people is a little bit easier. And again, that website, baldwinemi.org, there's a little button in the top right-hand corner that says Get Help. And if you click on that, you can see all of the many ways that we can help. And just know that your community members care about you, and we care about you. And like I said, it's what we're here for. So please feel free to reach out. There may be 100 other ways that we can help beyond what you think we can do. And a part of what we do is resource and referral, and we try to keep up with what everybody else in the community is doing too, because we know that we're better when we do it together. And I love the social service community in Baldwin County. You talk about Beth Biggs and Family Promise. Their program is so wonderful, and we stay in constant communication with all of the programs, and we can help reach out to somebody else. If we can't meet the need, we probably know somebody who can. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking this time with me. I really enjoy it, and thank y'all for watching with us. I hope that this was something that touches you, something that speaks to you, or something that informs you on and side of things that you never thought about before. Before we sign off, I do want to remind you that you're not alone. You're not alone. This year has been a rough year. Dana mentioned something earlier, and I just chuckled to myself because, yeah, this year's been a rough year. COVID, storms, elections, I don't know what, it just seems like every day something new is happening, but you're not alone. And you have the opportunity to talk to a neighbor, talk to a family member, talk to a friend, and remind them that they're not alone either. How great is it that we get to reach out to each other and remind each other that we're there for you, that we're there for each other. I think that's really what the gospel's about. And we kind of talked about it briefly before, but if you have the opportunity to share a meal with somebody, what better way to get to know someone? What better way to create a space that you can connect on a different level? How great would it be if we all shared a meal together and got to know each other a little bit better and didn't see each other for the differences we have, but for the likeness that we have? I think that's something that we can all work towards. So thank you again for watching. Go in peace and love the Lord, and we'll see you next week.